Okay, so here's part 3 of my everyday eyeshadow palette ranking. 3 videos in one day. Kai has a foot fetish, and I don't know why he feels the need to always touch me with his feet. But this is my number 16 palette, and it is the e.l.f. Cookies and Dream palette. What the hell did you just throw? So e.l.f.'s bite-sized shadows, this is 2 bite-sized shadow palettes put together. And it's actually more expensive to get this palette than it is to get the bite-sized shadows, so they should have just did the 2 bite-sized shadow palettes. But anyways, those are $4, and this was $10, so $2 more for the 2 bite-sized palettes. I have a makeup addiction because I was getting the cookies, I had cash on me, and I was getting the Cookies and Dream collection from Walmart for my YouTube channel. And I saw this palette, even though I had seen Kelly Strack use it, and I was like, I don't want that palette. But I had seen this palette, and I was like, I might as well get it because I'm here, and I might as well have it, and I'll just declutter it later. That's how you know I'm makeup addicted. So I did, and I actually was glad I got this palette because I can't see myself decluttering this anytime soon. It's a really good palette. Okay, so number 17 is going to be my Jeffree Star Cosmetics Mini Orgy palette. It looks like this. This is the palette, and that was the unicorn. So I don't think he actually makes this palette anymore. This is an all shimmer palette. So if you do not know me, then you would not know this, but I'm going to explain it anyways. I hate all shimmer palettes. Just for the specific reason that I think it's stupid to have just all shimmer unless you have like an all matte palette in your collection, and that's just like something that works in your collection. But in my collection, it just doesn't work because I always end up reaching for these 3 shades alone, and I never reach for any of the other 6. Even though every time I swatch them, I'm like, they're stunning, they're gorgeous, they're Jeffree's amazing formula. And I want to use them, but I never ever expand my reach and use them. And it keeps surviving a declutter because of how amazing it swatches. These last 2 aren't as buttery smooth as the other ones, but they're also not as metallic-y as the other ones. So I want to expand my reach and use this palette more and use more of these colors. I just haven't yet, and it's hard for me to. Okay, so number 18 is going to be my Hard Candy and Marilyn Monroe palette, and it looks like this. This is the palette that actually started it all for me, that inspired me to create this collection, was this palette. So it's kind of like the Natasha Denona Star palette, where you have a cool side here and a warm side here. You have a blush and a highlight. I don't use the blush or highlight for my face, and I will swatch them and tell you why I don't use them for my face. So I've used all of the colors in here, and it is a nice palette. Honestly, I did not expect this quality from Hard Candy. Honestly, this is hard panning. This white dress is hard panning so bad. So this palette's been in my collection a very long time. I'm going to go ahead and swatch the face palette. That's the blush. It's too light for me, and that's the highlight. It's so chunky. I'm not even sure if the camera could pick up how chunky that is. It's so chunky. This palette might actually not survive in my collection for much longer just because of how long I've had it. I've had it about a year, I want to say. And I do like it. I mean, I don't have anything like that matte purple in my collection, and I always end up diving into that matte purple whenever I bring this palette out, which is really what I was looking for whenever I was thinking about my rankings. Okay, so this was 18 or 19? Alright, this has to be 19. This is my 19th palette, and it is my custom Jeffree Star Cosmetics 28 pan palette. Again, I feel the same way about this one that I do with my 9 pan, is that I love custom palettes, and I think custom palettes are perfect for a collection because you can customize it and have it be exactly what you want. But this is the 28 pan, and 28 pans might be a little much for people, and it is eventually going to get pretty expensive, to be completely honest. And that might be a little bit of an issue for some people. It was not an issue for me, obviously, because I continue to buy them. I realized I missed a couple here. I have some Colourpop shadows in here also that I got in a mystery box. But I'm glad I had them. Like, that is a Colourpop shadow. It makes me want to dive out and try more Colourpop shadows. And this glitter is a Colourpop shadow. I really have been enjoying glitter lately, which I think is not a surprise considering the fact that I love that glitter from Dominique Cosmetics. Now, if I'm being completely honest, the glitter from Colourpop and the glitter from Dominique Cosmetics are very, very different. I like Dominique's better because Colourpop's is a little more loose, I guess you could say. I just have issues with it staying in place and fallout, whereas the Dominique one, I don't have any of those issues. So I prefer Dominique's, and I would definitely buy Dominique's glitters if she released a glitter in that formula in a pressed shadow. Like in a pan, I would definitely buy it. Dominique also just announced that she's starting a concealer line. So exciting. I love Dominique Cosmetics so much. But anyways, I don't think that it's very practical for people to have a 28 pan palette unless you are super makeup obsessed like me, which is why this is ranking so much lower on my list. Okay, now it's time for my number 20 palette, and my number 20 palette is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam 2 palette. So the reason that this is ranking so low is because even though this is a great formulation from Anastasia, and this was actually the first palette I ever bought this year, which is 2022, I just feel like the looks you create with this are very, very limited, and that is where I have the issues, is that it's such a limited look. And it's very, very light. I would be intrigued to see, like, a person of color kind of create looks with this, just because, like, I feel like that's a drastic jump in mattes, and this only has 2 shimmers, so there should theoretically be more darker mattes in this, so that way people of color can use it. And I just don't really feel like this is a palette that is very versatile. Okay, so number 21. This is where we are getting into they're good, but there's something up with these kind of palettes, or maybe they're just mediocre. So 21, please don't kill me, is the Charlotte's Tilbury Instant Talk Eye Palette. And this is $75. $75. I feel like Charlotte, my issue with Charlotte Tilbury products is the fact that I feel like her eyeshadows are very similar in tone. Like, I actually thought I had gotten the same palette, which really agitated the hell out of me, because I was like, I paid $75 for a big palette, and then I paid like $60 for a mini palette that I thought was different. And they are different. They are literally just very slightly different. I did use this palette yesterday, and I like using this palette. It's a good formula, don't get me wrong. I would have paid $60 for this, honestly. I don't think it's worth the $75 price tag unless you want it. Morgan Turner said that she used this on her wedding day, which is one of the reasons I wanted this palette, is because it is definitely a bridal palette. I definitely think Charlotte Tilbury is a bridal brand. But I just don't feel like... this is a good palette, it's a good formula. I'm just not inspired enough to use this palette, I guess is why it's ranking so low for me. Okay, so number 22, let's go ahead and get into it. It is this Colourpop Extra Celestial palette in Clearly in Love. It's the pink one, which I actually am more into pink, so of course I went for the pink palette. So this is what it looks like. The packaging on it is kind of crappy, but it's whatever. I haven't used this palette yet, which is why it's ranking lower, because I'm just able to go off of the swatches I've done of this, and that looks like it's gonna be patchy. It just, like, I was so excited to have this collection, I guess, and it was just a bummer when I got it and I swatched the colors, and it wasn't what I thought I was gonna get, to be completely honest. And it's so weird because I absolutely adore Colourpop's formula. This is just like, it's a new packaging, and I think that this is honestly a different formula, to be completely honest. Okay, number 23 is the Extra Celestial Colourpop palette in Clear the Air. It's the orange one. I'm just more into pinks, which is why the pink one ranked higher. Again, same issue is I feel like this is a different formula. The packaging is cheaper, but I kind of like it, but it's cute. I just feel like the formula is different. I don't feel like these swatch as good as other Colourpop products, like eyeshadows, do swatch. And I don't know, like, can you guys, like, let me know what y'all think about it? I don't know. I mean, do you guys have this collection? Colourpop releases so many collections, honestly. Like, if I wasn't actively searching their website, I would not have honestly noticed this, because I don't even remember Trend Mood talking about it, because like, Colourpop just releases so many. And to be completely honest, I was so excited to have this collection. I really, 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 really was. But when I got it and I swatched it, I was like, extremely underwhelmed. Okay, number 24 is actually a palette I have pulled out and set aside so I can use it tomorrow. And it is the Juvia's Place Warrior 2 palette. So this is a good palette. The formulation on this is great. I think it's like around $10 or $12. The size of the shadows is giant. I mean, like, it's like, look at how big that is. It's giant. And I love the fact that you have like a neutral row, a warm tone row, and a cool tone row. I honestly, like, I forget about this palette, to be completely honest, which is why it gets, like, it ranks so much lower, is because I forgot about it. And if I forget about a palette, yes, my collection is giant, but it's always on the back of my mind that I have my Pat McGrath palettes, my Natasha Denona palettes, the Primrose palette, that Jeffree Star palette, that Dominique Cosmetics palette. You know, it's always in the back of my mind, and I'm always thinking about different looks I can do and create with those palettes whenever I'm doing a makeup and mystery. But this palette, honest to God, I forgot about it. I forgot I had it. I had it. But I love all matte palettes. I love that this is an all matte palette. And I have the Warrior 1 somewhere. I don't know where, but I have it. Hey, alright, so I was going to do a different palette, but I decided to go ahead and do this one. The next palette, my 25th ranking, is my Jeffree Star Cosmetics Star Ranch palette. So this is the unit carton, and this is what the palette looks like. So this was originally a mystery box exclusive, but then he brought it back. It's $28, so if you want this palette, go ahead. It's $28. The reason that I have this palette ranking low is because I only really love this shade. Which, if you like this shade, you can actually get it in a single, and I've actually been thinking about picking it up during my next Jeffree Star order, because I know for a fact I would regret letting this palette go if I did not have this shade. Because it's just so beautiful and so unique and so light, and I always reach for that shade whenever I am doing a look with this palette. But this palette is just, it's the good Jeffree Star formula. It is amazing. It really, really is. But it's just not what I thought it was, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think that some of these colors, most of these colors, all of these colors, are rejects from the Blue Blood collection. Maybe even the Blood Money collection for that green, and Orgy. So, I mean, when you look at this palette, that's not the color scheme you're thinking of when you see this palette. And usually Jeffree's pretty good about what's on his packaging is really going to represent the palette, and it just doesn't with this one. Okay, so number 26 is going to be my Rare Beauty Magnetic Spirit palette. I did get this on clearance, I'm not even going to lie. But anyways, this is actually the first time I've ever tried Rare Beauty shadows. And this is really good quality. It makes me want to try the other Rare Beauty palettes that have like the mattes in it. The shimmers in this is gorgeous. I mean, even though I don't like... What did you do? I mean, there are some really pretty unique shades in this palette. Like that purple, and that green are stunning. So even though I don't like an all shimmer palette, because I think that those shades are so unique are the reasons I keep this palette.